Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the ColdFusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome back to another Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, and this is episode 50, so that means I had to invite our CEO of Ortus Solutions, creator of all the box families, Luis Majano.
Hey Gavin, how are you, man?
Good. I'm glad to have you on. I know you try and listen when you can, and obviously you're always outputting lots of content for us, so good to have you here as a co-host today.
I know. It's been a while since you've had me on the show, so I'm glad I'm back.
Yep. So first thing we always do is we thank our sponsors, and so a big sponsor here is obviously Ortus Solutions. So Ortus Solutions does a lot to make CFML great, and this podcast is one of those things that we're doing to, try and spread the word and spread all the news, things Ortus and non-Ortus related. A lot of great CFML news out there. And so one of the things that you can do to help the podcast is help Ortus Solutions by getting live training from the makers of the box products. Like, we've got a lot of amazing trainings out there, and we can do them. And in this situation, we can do them online and remote as well. A lot of times we do in-person trainings, and Luis and Brad are flying all over the world sometimes to do these trainings. But
not anymore.
Not anymore, exactly. So do you want to give us a quick rundown of some of your favorite trainings to give? And
yeah, I mean, they're all my favorites. They're all like my children. They're all my favorites. But yeah, I mean, I think the new style of training that we're doing, I really appreciate, which is a lot more hands-on. Those are really, really cool. And in terms of locations, I like the Germany ones, especially because then I can have a Weissbier. But I love Germany, and I really miss. I don't even know if CF Camp is going to be on this year, but I love the German one, and of course our traditional Vegas training where we can get the big nice suite, which kind of looks like your background.
Almost, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. So obviously we offer all those trainings in person, but right now we're doing a lot of virtual trainings, some live trainings, and we have more coming up. But if you're looking for any of those, we can give you one of our existing trainings or something specifically designed for you and your company, so let us know. And we also want to thank our Patreon supporters, because we're at 43% of our goal for fully funding our podcasts. So Modernize or Die podcast, there's 3 of them, CFML News, Soapbox, and the conference podcasts. And so we have a lot of podcasts, and we're trying to cover our costs there, and all of those that are supporting us on Patreon, thank you so much. And we're getting there. We're almost halfway there to fully funding it, but thankfully Ortus Solutions covers the rest of the bill, so thank you for that. Okay, so let's get into some news here, and one of the big things, I think, right up your alley, ColdBox 6 beta was released.
Ooh. Yeah, so it's very excited about this release. It's been a long time since we did a major one, almost a year and a half or so. Obviously, we've been doing releases almost every 2 to 3 months. But this beta is really, let me see if I can find the link for people to see all the goodies that we've been preparing for it. But it's a lot of feedback from a lot of the internal projects that we do, a lot of kind of mission critical apps, and a lot of API development that we're doing. But I kind of would say that this release is focused on productivity for developers, and really introducing a lot of new approaches to development. And that's especially what we're doing with the asynchronous programming pieces that we've introduced in ColdBox 6. So have you played a little bit with those yet, or have you just seen them in the show and tells that we do internally?
Definitely been looking at the show and tells. I read through the blog posts that we'll share in the show notes here as well to find out more about it. Definitely eager to see it, and it's nice to see a lot of those things we're using in JavaScript coming to the ColdFusion world too. So, a lot of the promises, doing things like waiting for one or more promises to be done, etc. And those things are definitely very cool to to see, and I definitely want to play with some of the features in there. I haven't had too much time yet, but I'm wanting to dive in a little more for sure. But I'm definitely keeping up on it.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up though. You're
So
a beast.
yeah, I mean, we've been trying to crack this approach with Brad for a long time, and I think we've been able to nail it finally. But we wanted to make it core because of all the different facilities that it will help us with internally in all the libraries. And the good thing is that this asynchronous approach to computing and parallel computing is not only for ColdBox applications, but it's part of every box. So it's going to be part of Lockbox standalone, of Wirebox standalone, of CacheBox standalone. So if you have a legacy application and you're just using Wirebox, you can still have all these asynchronous and parallel programming paradigms available to you. So I didn't just want to do it just for the ColdBox MVC portions. Obviously, you get a lot more, right? If you do, but the core or the essence of the asynchronous and the parallel programming computations are there for you, right? So that's a big one, the asynchronous portions, and this is not something that we created from scratch, right? The JDK has had the availability of completable futures and executors for a long time, since Java 8. And we've really tapped into the entire API for this, brought it to ColdFusion, so we have a lot of dynamic aspects to it and a lot of cool things that obviously you can't do in Java. But it will, in a nutshell, it does bring futures into CFML. And this is not like the simplistic approach that was introduced through RunSync. This is based on completable futures. So it allows you to create stages or pipelines of asynchronous programming, right? It allows you to actually combine futures with each other, or actually do race conditions against different types of futures. You can actually use any component as well, so you don't have to actually create closures in order to ramp your asynchronous computations. If you already have a component, you can actually point it to a specific component, a specific method, and we'll create the actual runnable proxy for you at runtime. So we've done a lot of work to make the syntax really nice and very similar to what you would find in other languages. Actually, if you're a Java developer, you actually will think that it's Java, because the API could match almost 100% to the original completable future API. And if you're a JavaScript developer, it will be very familiar as well, because we've kind of taken a look at how Promises does it, and it's very, very similar. And so that's a big one, Gavin. I think that it's going to change the developer's mentality of how to approach a problem, right? When they can have more tools in their arsenal. And we took it a step further by also adding the ability to create pipes or tasks or queues, right? And this has been requested by you and Eric a long time ago. So this is the core. So this is the foundation that we're gonna have in order for us to build our queuing systems and our build systems that could be tied to anything, Redis or Couchbase or any type of distributed cache approach, or ActiveMQ or Rabbit or anything. But this allows you for very easily to create these kind of tasks and executors. And we also did schedule tasks. So this was something that that is problematic sometimes, because we don't have access to the administrator or the admin API or things of that nature. But we did want to have this capability of scheduling tasks into your running application. And we've done it. And actually the new caching features, the new CacheBox in ColdBox 6 uses this. So it actually sets up a new schedule to run at specific frequencies and executing the specific pieces of code that I want, let's say in reaping frequency of every 3 minutes. We also created a new logging rolling logger appender, which uses the same approach. And it actually creates a little thread every few minutes and actually monitors an in-memory queue. And whatever's in the memory queue then streams all that log data back into disk. So the logging capabilities in ColdBox 6 are way beyond anything that we've ever had in anything before ColdBox 6. Especially now in the day of age of Docker, where we're looking at log files and consoles all the time, right? We've been doing a lot of work in order to make that facilities a lot easier. So the synchronous computations is a big one. The RESTful capabilities of ColdBox 6 are also really extended. We finally migrated our base REST handler, which kind I think you kind of started this a little bit with me, right? A long time ago.
Yeah, we've been fighting the way to sort of include it. We had it, we had it where it was a part of the template, and it always has been. And everyone kept saying, "How can I get it? How can I get it?" We're like, "Well, use the template. We already have an app." So I made it a module, but then we're like, well, we want to change it, we want to extend it. So we've been fighting all these different ways to do it. And so now you put it in the base ColdBox itself, and we have a way to extend it and sort of, make it bigger and better. But I think the big thing is adding stuff like the response object in there, and just being able to make them extendable, because ColdFusion allows you to do that. It's just pretty cool, and a lot of people are using it. We've fine-tuned it over many years now. We've been doing APIs for a long time, and I think it's really fine-tuned enough where we can put it in there knowing we're not going to change it too much.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the biggest debate for us, is how can we make this so customizable for developers, and I think we finally nailed it in this approach that we took. And right now you have a first-class citizen of a REST handler, which is specifically just for REST, which brings uniformity, it brings consistency, it brings a base response object for you to use and leverage, which is really functional as well.
Had a pull request for that last night too.
Ooh, I have to check them.
Yeah.
But it really will help you as a developer to basically just focus on producing data to Marshall and not on all the pipeline and machinery around it. So we fully documented it as well. You can find it in the docs, but it will really make your RESTful APIs really easy to work with, extend as well. So that was the big one, and we made it really, really easy for you to extend as well. So those are kind of the two big ones. And the third big feature of ColdBox 6, it's its performance for rendering. This is thanks to Brad's Woods, or how we call him, Dr. B's crazy manipulations in CF. And we were finally able to create a singleton renderer. Our good friend Frye CMS and Dom Watson sent us a pull request on this a few years back, but due to lots of concerns on thread safety and variable safety, we never were able to crack that problem as well. And Brad cracked it, fortunately, a few months ago, and then we got together and fine-tuned it. And it's crazy. It's if you use a lot of applications that render views with the singleton render, it's crazy. It's almost like native includes. So very, very excited about those kind of three major areas. But believe me, there's tons of other little mini tickets on it. But I really think that this ColdBox 6, I haven't been excited for this one since we introduced modules in ColdBox 3. So
yeah, it's definitely a big release, and that's why we spent a little more time talking about it on the news here, because we really want to get you guys out there testing it, betaing it, so that way we can make sure we take care of all those regressions or bug fixes before we cut it final, because it's definitely a major release, and it's been a long time coming for a lot of these features. So we're excited. So definitely go check it out. We shared the blog post in the show notes, and the CF Books has some information on it as well. So.
Yep.
Very cool. And then speaking of new releases, Lucee announced a new release candidate 5.3.6-RC. It's available on CommandBox already, so you can start that with CF Engine equals Lucee at 5.3.6-RC. And they're trying to get that tested so they can release that very soon. And we'll share the link to, I think there's a blog post on the Lucee site about that too. We'll be sharing that as well.
Yeah, I think for this one, I would definitely encourage people to test it out. I know internally we're going to be testing the heck out of it. We've every time there's been a final release that's supposedly stable, it really has not been. So there's always all these regressions that we're slowly finding. So it has to be a group effort and a community effort. So hopefully this 5.3.6 can be a solid release, just like 5.2.3.9 was, which is still solid from 2018.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing.
We really need help on this one.
I think 5.3.4 had issues with the reloading of things, really slow loading, and then 5.3.5, if you're using ORM, there's a lot of ORM bugs, not with Hibernate itself, but with our CB ORM package. There's some regressions and some of the things that ties into. So yeah, we're really hoping 5.3.6 is a good stable that we can really build on top of. Like I said, 5.2.9 was so stable for so long. I know some
Yeah.
customers are still using it because they're just scared to go to the next one.
We still use it because there's still bugs in 5.3.4 and then 5.3.5 that we can't use in production. So hopefully this release is the release that takes us finally to 5.3x.
Yep, and that's where our test features are really important there. We're running everything through it. We're setting up bleeding edge builds for Lucee to run our test so we can see what's going on right away. And Brad's chimed in the chat saying class loading bugs affected ORM in 5.3.5. So, yep. So definitely go check it out, 5.3.6. And there's a lot more information on all that on the Lucee side as well. Now another big release here, Ortus Solutions last week released their Ortus Lucee AMI in the AWS Marketplace. I know you guys have been working really hard on this, and we've got some of our consultants that work with government who are doing a lot of lockdowns and everything. So you guys got together and really worked hard to create this AMI. So you want to tell us a little more about this and who it's right for and what does it achieve for them?
Yeah, so we started this idea on Vegas, actually, on our training. So that's how good our trainings go. They always spin up these ideas. But I met on one of our breaks with George Murphy, and it has already been in our plans to be building tools for developers to do better deployments. So this is something that our good old friend Evagoras in the UK had mentioned a long time ago, creating something similar to what Laravel has done with Forge, right? This is brewing for a while now and trying to tackle it, obviously, with all the stuff that's going on with us. But this was the first kind of baby steps to get us there. And so we met with George, and the idea is how can we make the deployment into the AWS cloud easy, right? So we started our plans, and we were able to do the first AMI, going through all the hoops with Amazon in order to get it into the marketplace. But it is a fully featured hardened AMI. So it's a server, it's a cloud server. It's built with Tomcat, Ubuntu, and of course Lucee deployed on it with an Nginx web server attached to it as well, fully optimized with all the different optimizations that we've learned throughout all our mission critical applications, Gavin. So this is a finely tuned server for high performance, right? And you basically get a cloud server. You can deploy 1 or 1,000 instances of it on EC2. And then you can configure it and spice it up as you see fit. CommandBox is also installed as well as a CLI tool into the cloud server. And this is really for those people that really want to take their applications to the cloud. It's really a point and click, and you have your Lucee instance up and running. And now, granted, this right now we're working on the 5.3.5 version of it, but the 5.2.9, the stable one, is already available. And we're going to be releasing stable versions of Lucee into that same AMI, so you could easily just update, by just choosing a new version from a dump down, and bam, you're completely patched. So this is really, really useful for those people that have not had a chance to create AMIs or work with AMIs, or even care about building AMIs. They just want a really nice solution. They will have a server up and running in minutes, actually seconds, right? So, and this is our first start. So we have many images or many cloud servers that are in development. So right now, the 5.3.5 build is in place, but we also have a Windows version that's going to be coming up. So there will be analogous to this one. So it would be Windows IIS Lucee. We're also going to be building ContentBox ones. So you're going to have ContentBox editions as well. 2 editions, one with a MySQL database built in, and another one with no database built in. So you can connect it to, let's say, Aurora or whatever other database within the Amazon cloud. And we also are going to be providing a developer toolbox. So this is going to be building, there's some institutions that actually do not allow you to have your own computer or, your own dev instances. So we're going to be creating a full dev instance based on one in Ubuntu and one in Windows, with all the tools that we feel that ColdFusion developers should have, from VS Code to CommandBox CLI, finely tuned things for development. And we have other cloud servers that we want to bring in, especially using CommandBox standalone, so very lightweight, no Tomcat, just CommandBox and our Service Manager included, right? So you're going to be able to create things. This will be an Ubuntu-based one as well. And after we finish with AWS, we're moving into Google Cloud, and then to Azure, and then to DigitalOcean. So we have those cloud vendors that we're going to be providing for them. So, I foresee that this year, 2020, we can cover AWS, so we can start with the next providers down the road.
Yeah, and the thing I really like about this too is, we're taking all the work from our consulting and working with these government clients that have very strenuous lockdown requirements, and those are already included. So you don't have to worry about, figuring out all the security things or best practices. We're tying those in for you. So that's, I think, a big win there for a lot of companies where they don't have the time to keep up with the security and everything. This will handle that for you.
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. Okay. Well, so I shared that in the chat, and we'll put that on the show notes as well. So we also have a webinar coming up from Ortus, the What's New with CommandBox 5 with Brad Wood. So he'll be going through and showing you a few more things about the CommandBox 5 release, which is a really big release. And so if you want to sign up for that, you can go to ortussolutions.com/events/webinar, and that's in the chat for you now too. And in case you missed it, like we did, Pete Freitag from Foundio actually had the CFML newsletter he released April 1st, which is issue number 36. And
ooh, I missed it.
Yep. So he releases that. It's usually monthly or semi-monthly. He has 36 issues now, but it's a really good summary of the good blog contents, modules and updates, videos, etc. So yes, the funny thing was, he says, featuring his first ever box corner, thanks to Ortus Solutions.
I know, I'm seeing it right here, the box corner. I love it.
Yeah, so it's definitely a cool little newsletter. You should check that out. You can actually view the newsletter itself online, as you can see in the video for those who are watching. So it's got a lot of great content. So these are basically the best of the best. So maybe you don't have time to check out everything we talk about here on the show, but these are the best articles. Here's a little box corner here with some of the podcasts, some of the video series we have, and news about our conference, and then some videos too. So definitely really good. You can sign up and get it emailed directly to your inbox so you don't miss it like we did. And sorry about that, Pete. April 1st, a lot of April 1st things going on that day. Guess we missed that. And in case you missed it too, Adobe ColdFusion 2018 release update 9 and ColdFusion 2016 release update 15 were released last week. Security vulnerabilities were fixed in that, so please do upgrade soon. CommandBox updates for those versions were released last week as well, so if you're using CommandBox, you can get those latest versions instantly patched and updated without any of the update hassles. So definitely go do that. And then Brad's also been releasing his CommandBox 5 Screencast series too. So if you're wanting to find out now, not wait for that webinar, what's new in CommandBox 5, he's released about 7 videos already. So we had 2 new ones in the last week. One was file globbing enhancements, and the other one was the server start optimization for Docker. So if you guys are using Docker, definitely check that video out. Shows some of the cool things we're doing to try and optimize that start by actually removing CommandBox from the startup, which is pretty interesting too. So they're really doing some crazy things to dive into there and get things faster for you. So a lot of good stuff there. And so he's talked about undertow options, tuning web server max requests, Lucee extension management, get tokens or get access tokens, and library updates. So every Tuesday and Thursday he's releasing new videos there. So subscribe to us on YouTube to see those as they come out. And if you missed them, there is a playlist.
Yeah, there was somebody requesting another video, so if Brad is listening or eventually will listen, they wanted an SSL one. They wanted to getting started with CommandBox and SSL. I thought it was a really interesting request. So I took a note of it, so whoever it was.
Very cool. Okay, and then next after that, we actually had someone from the community, John Farrar, who started up something he's calling the Community CFML 2020 Training Project. So he had a webinar a few weeks back about this and what his goals are, and right now he's taking project suggestions. They want to build some tangible solutions for training, on top of what's already been out there. And so if anyone's interested, they can email John Farrar at johnfarrar@sosapps.com. And he's going to be posting some details Wednesday or Thursday this week. But he just set up a Slack channel room. So if you're in the CFML Slack, you can go to community_courses, and that's where he's sort of talking about that. So if you guys want to work together on creating some materials and some courses and whatnot and help add training to our community, that's where he's basically discussing that and trying to get some community members to sort of tie in. Obviously, he's looking forward to a lot of our Ortus training coming up as well, and he really appreciates what we do, but he thinks that we can, as a community, do more. And so he's hoping to ramp up everybody, and maybe working together, people can put the time together and create some more training. So if you guys are interested, definitely check that out. Okay, so the State of the Union 2020 survey is still going on, and Michaela actually released the partial results. Have you looked at this yet, Luis, the results?
I am actually looking at it right now because I did not look at it. Been so busy with the ColdBox release.
Yep. So if, for those of you who don't know, that's a survey that TerraText does once a year. We basically ask you a bunch of questions, a really short multiple choice questions on like what engine do you use, what frameworks do you use, what tools do you use, are you using which web servers are you using, all these different things, just trying to get some stats about what's going on in the community, and that way we can figure out what's increasing, what's decreasing, what should we still support. And I know that Ortus uses a lot of this information to decide if we should still maintain an engine or not. And as Brad said previously, several years ago, we were going to drop CF9 support and realized that there was like 40% of people still using it, so we couldn't drop it at that point. So
yeah,
but there's some pretty interesting results there.
Yeah, I know.
And so the partial results are out. I'm going to share that link here in the show notes, as well as the TerraTech link to actually go do the survey as well. So definitely check those out. It's really interesting, but it's really helpful for those if you can take that and maybe share it with some of your other developer friends too.
So it's still very impressive to see when I go to the MVC framework section, and there are almost as many ColdBox framework developers that there are people that don't use the framework.
Yep,
I mean, it is incredible still in this day and age that people are using any type of MVC methodologies for web development. I mean, it's crazy.
Yep. I always find the testing one interesting too, but it's interesting too. It looks at browsers and everything as well, so it's really useful. It's really interesting too. So cool. Definitely check that out. And they have a section on podcasts, so please vote for our podcast, Modernize or Die. Hopefully you're listening and you want to support us. So okay, so next on the list, let's get to conferences, and we'll just rush through some of the cancellations. Obviously, CF Summit was meant to be this week, and it's canceled. The post and pre-conference was canceled. I know that you had some people sign up that were pretty upset that they couldn't make it to your Build Secure MVC ColdFusion application workshop, but unfortunately...
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately. It was actually last week. Or this week.
No, it's meant to be this week.
No, last week. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so those are all canceled, but Into the Box 2020 is almost here, so a few weeks away. I know we're all running around with our heads cut off trying to get our presentations finalized, our keynote. I have got more stuff for you there from my keynote contribution to Luis, but I think it's going to be good still. I mean, we used to do our Ortus Developer Week, and we had a lot of attendees, and a lot of people loved that. But Into the Box 2020 virtual is going to be pretty fun too. So we have May 7th and Friday, May 8th, and it's going to be basically a normal schedule for the conference. So there'll be 50-minute sessions with about 10 minutes in between. We got 2 tracks. You can pick your room, and then we got a lot of great content too. So I think it's going to be a really good conference. I mean, are we getting a lot of feedback? What do you think? Tickets are looking pretty positive so far?
Yeah, pretty positive so far. I think that this gives people a chance to attend, even if they weren't able to attend. So that's always a great option. Ortus Developer Week for many years, and it was a great success. I mean, there were occasions where we had a session with over 130 developers online. So, this is our first try, and so far has been very, very successful. I know that Jorge and some of the finance team is very happy because obviously we have not burned our marketing budget like we do when we do the Into the Box live, but it has really been a very curious eye opener for us. So we were even discussing internally, starting to have a few discussions that maybe we should do two conferences. That we should do the live one here in Houston, and then in the fall we should do one just like we did with Ortus Developer Week, just basically do a virtual version of what we did with Into the Box. But it's still very early for these things, but it's very positive. I think there were like about 80 or something already attendees. So, and it's obviously growing every day. So virtual is really important for us. We also are give you a sneak peek. We have a discussion with a company today. I won't mention yet until we are solidified with them. We have a meeting this afternoon with them, but we might have the potential to actually have a virtual conference in the sense that we will have a virtual space. So we were going to have a virtual space with different breakout rooms where people are going to have their own avatars and be able to actually talk and open microphones in different rooms. So we want to step up the whole virtual aspect into a real four-dimensional approach to the conference. So we're hopefully this will go well. So we have a talk with them this afternoon. So God willing, it will go through. But,
and John Farrar in the chat asked about the Mariachi Man. If we have that virtual conference, we can play some mariachi music in one of the rooms for you. It won't be the same.
That is true.
Not the same, but we'll definitely try. And I've been teasing about us trying to do something a little different, a little special to make this virtual conference not just a combination of Zoom meetings, but we're trying. Correct. So we're doing what we can. And going forward, obviously, we'll have more time to research and make it even better next year. But like you said, without the cost of the hotel and all the speaker rooms that we provide normally and everything, we can definitely drop the price on the conference. And so that's why the conference tickets are actually cheaper than they were for the videos last year. So only $199. So go register now, and if you want to see some content from last year or the year before, those packages are only $9.99 each. So you can get the entire 2019 Into the Box for $9.99, which is a pretty damn good deal. So definitely go check those out. And every day I get a question about the workshops. So we are gonna do workshops. Just wait till after the conference. We'll announce a schedule. We got a lot of conference stuff to deal with. Like I said, we're changing up a lot doing the virtual version, but we will be doing workshops, so stay tuned, and we'll definitely get an announcement right after the conference on when the next workshop will be. And this way, with all the workshops spread out, you guys can pick and choose as you want, and that way you can get more of those workshops in, and obviously from the comfort of your own home or office.
Yeah, no, definitely. So workshops are something we want to definitely offer, but I think that we didn't want to try to do so many things, especially since now we have a virtual format. So workshops are coming, even other fun stuff that we'll be mentioning on the keynote is coming. But very, very excited about all the different things that we're going to be releasing in the coming weeks.
Yep. And so after our Into the Box, we also have another thing from Adobe, the Adobe ColdFusion Developer Week. So they're basically taking all of the content from their CF Summit East that was canceled and basically make it into an online conference. And it's a developer week, so they're just doing 2 sessions a day over the 5 days, so 10 sessions total. And I think one of the speakers you might even know, right, Luis?
It is me, sir. So I was supposed to be there giving the talk actually today, April 21st. So I lucked out and did not do that session. So I'll be doing another session, actually, thanks to you. So you're going to be doing a session for Into the Box based on functional approaches to RESTful services. So I'm guessing you're going to be using all of our ColdBox 6 goodies. So we'll take that and we're going to present on RESTful services.
Yep, and there's a lot of other great speakers there too. So I'm going to send the link here in the chat, and it's in our show notes. But if you want to try and type it out, it's cf-devweek.meetus.adobeevents.com. So if you can remember that, or you can wait for the show notes. But yeah, it's all free, so they're providing that free of charge. So thank you, Adobe. And then after that, the week later, DockerCon Live, a one-day Docker event. 3 simultaneous tracks are there available, so you can jump between them, and that is going to be available too. It's a one-day conference. They're trying to bring you all the goodness of Docker straight to you. So that'll be May 28th. That's a Thursday, and it's 9 till 5 Pacific time. So that's another great one to sign up for. If you guys are doing Docker or thinking about it, definitely check it out. We got the privilege of going there a couple years ago when they had it in San Francisco. We had a lot of fun, didn't we?
It was awesome. I think it was one of those conferences where you get very inspired and very humbled because of all the different talents and the different things that are occurring. It was a massive conference. I remember it was like 3,000 people or something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the big ones. And then we have dates for CF Summit West, October 28th and 29th at the Mirage Hotel. Last time I looked, that's still obviously pending on everything happening with the pandemic, but they do have information on registration and the hotel and everything there. And if you sign up now, you can save. So definitely check that out as well. And CF Camp, we'll let you know as soon as we know. Again, Europe is hit pretty hard with the pandemic, so as soon as they have information, they'll share it with us. Okay, so now we're getting to the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week, and we got some pretty good content in here. So first one up is one of Brad's videos. So what's new in CommandBox 5? The file globbing enhancements. And I love the fact that we have file globbing. Dealing with paths and special things when you're writing commands is such a headache, but the file globbing in CommandBox 5 is pretty amazing. So it was pretty good before, but he's done a lot of work to improve that. So he's got a video there to show you how it works and what he's done to improve it. So definitely check that one out.
I was actually using this today.
Very cool. Yeah.
Building a new little commander that I'm building, but it is I'm going through what he did here, and yep, I think that it's file globbing is just so nice when you combine it with a watcher.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of things in CommandBox are already using that, like the test box watcher, so your test can run every time you change your files, etc. So the globbing is very important there. Now, he also had an interesting tweet. I'm going to try and share this on my screen here for those of you watching along. So, a sad day for John Lawson. So it looks like he was ColdFusion boy. He's retiring his ColdFusion custom license plate of over 19 years. The added tax of the registration this year just means he just can't make it work. But he's been driving with this ColdFusion plate for a long time. 19
that is
years.
Hilarious. 19 years. Almost as old as ColdFusion itself.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So we wanted to shout out, say thanks, John, for all those good years. Okay, so we also had a blog from you about the ColdFusion 6 beta release. I think we've covered that pretty well, but I'm going to share the link here in case you guys want to check that out as well. But yeah, a lot of great content there. Again, please check it out. Now, we also had one from Ben Adele. So he was talking about scaling an image during a drawer operation using Graphics Magic and Lucee. So previously, he just imported images directly and he layered them when he created them. So this blog post, he goes into a little more detail about, if you want to scale an image before you import it in and some of the sort of processes for doing that. So he's had a lot of great posts in this Graphics Magic series, shall we say. So using the command line tool to do that. So if you guys are looking at using Graphics Magic, definitely check out all of his blog posts on it. It's a pretty cool tool, especially if you want to go beyond what the Adobe or Lucee engine can do. So we also had a blog post from Pete Freitag, and this was a pretty cool one. He's made MiniBox.
Yeah, I know, it was so surreal because the same day that he posted it, I was talking to Brad about a new Docker image that I wanted for us to create, and we have the repo still prepared, which is Ortus Solutions Docker CommandBox-CLI. So como se llama, Pete Freitag actually did what we wanted to do. So we're going to be talking to him pretty soon. So Pete, if you're listening, we're going to be talking soon because we're going to support this approach officially through Ortus as well. So we wanted to create an image like he did, which is basically just CommandBox as the CLI and a very minimal approach to it, just for doing CLI applications. So I was talking to Brad on our CommandBox channel last time because I wanted to build something like a CommandBox Lambda approach, where we could just basically stand up a Docker container with CommandBox CLI to execute a specific task, even to the point where we could even add that task as a function inside of the Docker file. So I've been kind of tinkering around with that as well. So this will open up the possibilities for us to be able to deploy a container that does one specific thing only, and then it dies. So that's something that we're working on. So if you go to, Docker Foundio/Minibox, this is very similar to what we're going to be doing, but this is a very small image. I think his image is 78 megs or something like that. Yep,
he's got it down to 78. He's trying to get it down a little lower, but when you're mixing all that Java stuff in, it's kind of tough sometimes. But
yeah, I mean, I think just the JDK itself is pretty big, right? And there are ways to actually just get several things from the JDK, but it's a very tiny image, and we want to do something very similar officially as well. We've got to work with John Clausen on this to get it going, but we're also going to be providing the support for you to be able to, in your Docker file, to write a specific ColdFusion function and execute it. So just like a Lambda. I don't know if we're going to call it Lambda, but these are the things that we're tinkering around with to create these kind of one-off commands that we can build with the power of CommandBox now. Very excited that Pete took the initiative on this.
Obviously it ties in with his Fixinator product that he has, which is, basically the same thing. He just wants it something nice and small to be able to run his command that he built in CommandBox.
Exactly.
Runs the Fixinator, and that's a great tool. If you haven't checked out Fixinator, definitely check it out on foundio.com/Fixinator. It's a great tool, and that's the perfect use case for it, right? You want to spin up a command, you want to go run your Fixinator code or your, and some of the other commands that you have, do one-off tasks on a schedule or something, and that's perfect for it. You don't need the entire engine, you don't need, Lucee 5 in there or anything else. You just need the bare bones, so it's a great little article.
So this is, and then this, we're also talking about this because with Javier, since we're building the next version of ForgeBox, we're thinking about value-added things that we want to bring for developers, right? And one of the things that we wanted is to do one-off kind of tasks to when you do to do your package publishing, right? So this is something that's why I wanted a Lambda approach to containers, because we wanted to run the code checker, for example, in isolation. We wanted to run even test analysis, and then basically just publishing them back into the ForgeBox instance. So this is something that we're already working with for a real life scenario. So hopefully maybe by next year's Into the Box, we'll have something.
Very cool. Okay, so next on the list, we have a tweet from Smilebringer. So talking about first stream of 2020, a bit late to the party, they said, but they're going to go on Twitch with some game development and Lucee. So if you guys are interested in games and Lucee, we got a link here to the Twitch. I haven't seen the videos on Twitch. I know that they have quite a few there, but if you want to check that out, we can do so there. So I'll share this link. Yeah, Smilebringer. So again, I'm not sure of the quality or the content, but that's something I thought I would share and let you guys have a look. And I know that people are on the live streaming thing these days, and everyone's pretty excited about it. So
it's from Norway.
Yeah. So there's quite a few people on Twitch that are doing ColdFusion development, and I've never heard of before. So it's nice to see them, and so we're trying to share that. So
well, he needs to get some async goodness now, especially for game development.
Yeah. Okay, so next on our list, we had a blog from Ortus Solutions about Foundio becoming a 2020 Into the Box sponsor. So they're a silver sponsor for Into the Box. So thanks again, Pete and Foundio, for all your support over the years, and it's good to have you as a sponsor again this year.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it.
Okay, we also had a blog post from James Oberg. And James has a lot of interesting stuff pop up on his blog, and here's a screen share of it here. So he's talking about using CFML part with wrap text with HTML stuff. So I guess there was some inconsistency happening in some emails, and so he actually has like a screenshot of how things are, flowing in one and not flowing in the other with some cutoff and whatnot. And so if you're having some weird renderings in your mail, check out that. It might be with the issue there. So thanks again for sharing that. And James has a lot of great blog posts. He deals a lot with APIs and everything too, so he's got a lot of one-off UDFs and everything on his site. So if you're looking for something, he may have it there as well. And he's getting better. He's adding stuff to ForgeBox. We keep bugging him every week. Just add it to ForgeBox. Add it to ForgeBox. And he is. So thanks, James, for all you do.
Good.
Also had another blog video from Brad. So this was the service.optimization Docker video that we mentioned before. So again, that one's a good one. I watched it again because I needed to make sure I understood it, so I didn't break everything when we updated. So it's pretty neat. I just like the way we're doing things there. I know we talked about with ColdBox too, being able to basically spin it up with a dry run, get all our metadata from handlers and stuff, and talk about caching. And this is basically what the Docker image does. So it gets the server set up before you even run it, just so it's ready to go with all the optimizations in place. So.
Oh yeah, we talked about preemptive optimizations for a long time, and this is our first start into it. But yeah, we're still working on it. I was actually working on my proof of concept today for optimizing ColdBox applications. So this is something that we're focusing on. There's a project in Java called MicroProfile by the Micronaut teams, which is exactly that, right? It focuses on preemptive micro optimizations, even at the JDK level. So there's lots of things that you can do to optimize your source before launch, so it's production ready and light, and basically sometimes you don't even need compilation. That brings I think I put that as a module of the week, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that soon. There was another blog from Ortus, the AMI solution that we released, so I'll share that link as well. We already talked about that a little bit, but if you want to find out more, definitely check that out. So another one here, Ben Adel had built-in functions and member methods return different data types in Lucee. And so this was an interesting one. And for those who've followed along with Ben, he's been doing a lot of work with Lucee over time. And this is basically an interesting one where the old methods, the old built-in functions used to return true or false when you were doing stuff.
Yeah.
With arrays. So a lot of the things he was doing, like appending arrays, etc., a lot of those built-in functions used to return true and false, but the member functions don't. They usually return the objects you can append and chain, and so for chainability the member functions behave differently. So he was just saying that looking through, he noticed that change and some of the documentation wasn't consistent, but the cool thing was on Twitter, he mentioned something. Zach Spitzer saw it, read it, and checked and whatever, and he went through and updated all the documentation on Lucee already. So now the documentation should be right. But I really like this here. If you check it out, there's a couple of different things, in here, but all the different member functions. So definitely something to check out if you guys aren't using member functions. They're really handy, like especially for chainability, that whole functional approach and that style that we like. Definitely a good read. So, but thanks for Zach and Lucee for jumping on it and getting those docs updated right away. So, pretty cool. Okay. So Ben also had another one talking about running CF execute from a given work directory in Lucee. And so this one here, it dives into using some bash scripts, which is again pretty cool. I don't know if we've done a lot of bash scripting. He writes a little bash script here, passing in a working directory, so where basically this command will run. Pretty cool. Of course, looking at this though, it makes me just cringe and think, I love CommandBox task runners.
Exactly.
All the things that we
Yeah.
used to do, and I've been dealing with some stuff on a build, just trying to get a date formatted the right way and in a variable that I want, so I can use it around the place.
Yeah.
It's so painful in Bash script compared to the commands we're used to every day with
Yeah.
ColdFusion. And
I don't.
so,
I'm starting to decline in the usage of Bash, to tell you the truth, because we have CommandBox task runners.
yep. And especially
It
now,
is
if we can get
just,
that
yeah.
CLI spinning up so quickly because we got the minimized version of everything, we're using
Yeah.
Lucee Lite and everything's stripped down. It's definitely getting a lot better. So, but I mean, it's good walking through this. I like the thought process, and Ben always makes me think, and I definitely learn a lot. But when going through here, task runners is what I think is the answer. So I feel like going back to Ben and saying, "Have you checked out task runners?" Because
Yeah.
as yeah, and then in the chat we got Scott saying he built a whole task manager in task runners, which is pretty cool. He showed me that before. I know him and Brad were talking about it, and so it's kind of like cron jobs for task runners, which is pretty neat. And then Brad says task runners all the things. And,
It is true. I actually have to show my task that I built this morning to Brad for my presentation. So no, he'll love it.
so yeah, but it's a good blog post. Definitely recommend reading that. And then once you've done that, go check out task runners in CommandBox and see what you think about that too. We also had a video from Matthew Clemente, CommandBox task runners, learning by trial and error. How convenient.
There you go. How convenient.
So that was his live stream that he did last week, and it was pretty neat. So love watching his videos. I like the fact that he's not afraid to try and, like you say, fail sometimes, but learn from that. And that's definitely my way of learning too. So it's good that he's out there and doing that and sharing. And so definitely follow him on YouTube, and I'll share the link here if anybody wants to watch that video after the podcast. Watch the podcast first. And then TerraTech had that blog for the partial State of the Union results, so we got that there. And then we also had a blog from Mark Brockenstead. I think I pronounced that okay. Sorry, Mark. But adding CommandBox profile to Windows Terminal preview. So Windows Terminal is a preview app that just got released not too long ago. And in the spirit of living the box life, as he puts it, as we put it, he set out to find a way to add CommandBox to the shell options. This blog post walks through that, and it's pretty cool. I've been messing around with my registry on Windows. Yes, I'm a Windows user. Sorry, everybody, but been adding some shortcuts to my right-click menus for CommandBox and VS Code and those types of things. And this blog post sort of shows you how to get CommandBox running in the terminal preview. So right now, when you look at the app, you have different things you can run, and so basically you walk through the process of how you can get CommandBox added right in here, and it even has the little Ortus logo. So when you can spin up your terminal, you can check that out. So thank you, Mark, for sharing that.
Sure.
Windows not so bad after all. And then we had a tweet from Billy Cravens too. That moment when serverless platforms support COBOL before supporting ColdFusion.
I think he's a little late to the game on that tweet.
It was just funny that he was basically referring to a blog, a link out to Cloudflare workers now support COBOL. It's just funny. And my previous boss actually did some COBOL programming in a past life, and he said there's not enough money in the world to pay him to do it anymore. That's how much he loves ColdFusion. But yeah, that's pretty funny that they're supporting COBOL now, especially with all the news about how I think it's New Jersey that needs it. Because Brad says Fuseless has been running for a long time on ColdFusion as a serverless. So thanks again to Pete Freitag. So yeah, so he's saying fuseless.org for those of you who want to know a little more about how to run serverless CFML Lambda functions. Fuseless.org, built by Foundio, great tool. Definitely check that out. And then Brad said he retweeted it. Is that the same thing here? Okay, let's see what Brad said. Oh, year and a half, and people still don't realize it, is what he said. So
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy sometimes in the ColdFusion community that people don't understand or have not been exposed to everything that's been going on. Some people still, claim that there's no package manager for ColdFusion, and CommandBox is an old man by now. So I think it's always that matter of image, right? So I think that hopefully we can make a difference. I know we're investing a lot in PR. This podcast is one of that, right? One of those things.
Yep, and we're hoping that we're trying to make it a little fun, a little entertaining and informative, and maybe people can share it outside. And so if you guys haven't gone on to iTunes and, given us a 5-star review would be nice. But give us a review,
Yes.
share it with your friends, retweet our stuff. Try and help get that word out there, because we want to make sure we reach a few more people. We've got a lot of great supporters, and we're really thankful for everyone who supports, Ortus Solutions and our podcast and our conference. But we want to keep spreading the news, getting a little more out there. So if you guys can help us with that, we really appreciate it. Okay, so a lot of good stuff there. Next we have Find a Job. So we have CFML, getcfmljobs.com. Has about 22 positions right now up there from 19 companies across 16 locations in 5 countries. And we have 3 new ones this week. So we have a full-time position, ColdFusion developer with, 4 to 6 years experience. And they're looking in Mumbai, India. And that was just posted on April 16th. And then we have a full-time position for Upper Saddle River, United States. And that was posted on the 16th as well. And we have a ColdFusion software developer in Rockville, Maryland. That was posted on the 15th of April. So if you go to getcfmljobs.com, you can see the full listings there. And by the way, that's a ColdFusion design site, and it goes out and scrapes various different news platforms and pulls them in, anything related to ColdFusion. And you can actually post your jobs directly there as well. So thanks for supporting the community with that project. Okay, so now, since Luis is our special guest today, we have him talking about his favorite ForgeBox module of the week. So this is a new one we haven't listed, but you want to tell us a little bit about the CFML compiler?
Yes. So I saw this because I've been wanting to do the pre-compilation stuff that we've been talking about, the preemptive stuff. And obviously, we have a lot of scripts internally here at Ortus to do just that, to basically take your ColdFusion code and compile it to Java bytecode. So I would have to say that Adobe does it a lot better than Lucee, because Lucee, you actually have to have a running Lucee server in order to do the compilations, right? With Adobe, you don't. With Adobe, you basically just execute a jar file, right, with a set of parameters and everything like that. By the way, the documentation is horrid. I've been using this for more than 10 years, so at least I've been able to understand it. So maybe I should do a blog post on it to document it. But it allows you to basically compile your ColdFusion source to the Java bytecode that is done by the server on the first hit. So if you do this before you send this to production, the first hit into your application is already compiled. So there is no compilation, there is no wait up or startup time for the compiler to do this. It is already pre-compiled, so it just executes. So you save time basically on the initial starts for your application. And then added benefit is obviously that people are not looking at your source code. So if you're deploying this into a Docker container, your Docker container is compromised for whatever reason, or not even a Docker container, but any server, and if they look at your source code is already pre-compiled. So it's another added level of security, and I'm guessing that's why probably Pete loves it, because it is another level added of security. Like I said, this one is Lucee specific. Okay? This is Lucee specific, and it also it's CommandBox task runners and a CommandBox command. And basically, behind the scenes, what it does, it basically starts a server for you on a specific port, and then sets up the web route according to where you run the command, and then compiles that code for you, right? So that is something that is built in. Now, it does require that the server be up and running. So I actually was thinking if I could talk to Brad about this, because since CommandBox is already a Lucee server on that specific version, granted, at least it could take advantage of that because it's already running. So you wouldn't need another Lucee server to run and do pre-compilations. You could probably just pre-compile it with that specific version of the Lucee CLI. Granted, that's restricted to that CLI version, but at least it's something. But anyways, I love this little module that Pete has built.
Yeah, very cool. I'm sure he's using it with Fixinator, so that's probably why he built it.
Exactly.
Very cool. So, yep, great little tool there. And then next we have our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And this week we're actually going to talk about something we announced last week, and that is our CommandBox VS Code extension. So I know we've been talking about this for a long time, but you want to give us a little background. Obviously, we want to thank Kama-sama K, which is Matthew Brown, right? He did a lot of work for us here trying to get this up and running. But there's some great features here. So working with scripts. So you got a script explorer. You can run scripts from the editor. That's kind of nice. And then obviously run scripts from a folder in the explorer as well. And then we got some features for editing server JSON, so the schema, property completion, property hover, and then the same for box.json, the schema, property completion, hover, and then dependency management with slug completion and version completion. So there's a lot of great, features in here.
Yeah, definitely. So this actually sprung up, Kama-sama K or Matthew Brown. He's a fellow Miamian. We actually went to the same university in Miami, Florida International University. Great guy, and I created the repo for this, and I basically begged him if he could help us, create a version of the NPM package for VS Code if we could convert it somehow to work with CommandBox. And had created a ticket for him to just kind of see if that was something that he would be interested in, and boom, one day he's like, I'm done. So it was so amazing that he was able to do this, and we have our Salvadorian crew also interested in seeing how to collaborate and work on it as well. But such an amazing job by Matthew, and hopefully we'll get to start working on a lot more interactive things for the IDE to help developers.
Yeah, and this ties into there's a VS Code tasks. VS Code tasks is basically how it supports running these scripts and everything. So he's definitely gone into it, and we've looked into it a lot about trying to get more functionality here, and it's doing some great things with this extension. And I know we're working on upgrading our ColdBox 1 as well and our TestBox 1, and so hopefully we can tie into some of this. So we're really excited about VS Code and making you guys more productive. And so I've got it installed. I'm going to start using it more too, so I'll have some ideas real soon. You know me, lots of ideas.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, we're up to our final part of the show where we thank our amazing Patreon supporters. And so the newest supporter we've had is Brett Deline. So thanks to Brett there for being a supporter. And do you want to tell us about some of the packages? If you go to patreon.com/ordersolutions, you can get to a lot of the cool packages that you can do as a Patreon supporter. And so maybe I should just share my screen again here and show you some here, because we got the basic box supporter, and starting $10 per month. So we have a lot of different levels. If you want to go crazy, you can get all the way up to $2,500 per month. And doesn't this have like a special Luis will come to your house and cook you dinner? No.
I am thinking about it actually, but actually that's not a bad idea. I love cooking, so I might actually throw that in there. But you basically do get a video chat with me every month, basically, just to kind of see how your company's doing, any type of assistance that we could do, all kind of part of the package. So,
you get free tickets to Into the Box conference. You get bronze sponsor Into the Box conference, and so there's a lot of different packages. Obviously, if you're an individual, there's some smaller packages, and bigger for those corporate companies that want to support what we're doing in open source. So hopefully, there's a package for everybody there. But yeah, there's a lot of a lot of great people supporting us already, and so we want to thank you guys for that. And obviously, our first goal is to fund these podcasts so we can help spread the word and get the news out and keep growing the community. But other things, other initiatives, CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, all of our open source products, and all your support goes to fund those. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know this, and we do a lot for the community, a lot for open source. We live this, we breathe this since the initial versions of ColdBox in June of 2006. Imagine that, 14 years ago. So it's not easy, right? And I think sometimes people forget about the amount of work that we do that is open for people to make, for them to make money. So we're just. All this takes effort. All this takes a lot for everybody to put together, and it's just awesome to see how people believe in us and are willing to support us and take us to another level. So.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I mean, if anyone's ever created something for themselves to use, they know it takes a lot of time. But if you ever release something to let other people use, it takes 5 times as much time to make it usable, to document it, to make it user-friendly, to cover all their scenarios as well as your scenarios, and make it intuitive, and then answer questions. There's a lot behind an open source project, and it's no easy task. And so we thank everybody who contributes to it, whether it's Patreon supporter, pull request, documentation. That all helps. But yeah, we just want to especially thank those Patreon supporters that are taking a share of their funds and helping us financially. So you want to read off the names? You want to try and do that since you're this very special host?
Ooh, yes. All right, let's try it here. So Ben Nadal, or Nadal. Sorry, was it Nadal? I think I remember him saying something.
Yeah, I know. Nadal. I had an interview with him, and I still double take every time I say it.
So I say the Latino way, Ben. So Ben Nadel, Brett Deline, Lee, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, David Belanger, Didier Desnicki, Don Bellamy, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Jan Yannick, Jeremy Adams, Jordan Clark, Joseph Lamrie, Kai Koenig, Laxma, Tirto Hadi, Matthew Clemente, Mingo Hagen, Ryan Hughes, Scott Steinbeck, Sean Odin, Steve Klotz, Synaptrix, and Yogesh Mathur, Mr. Yogesh. So I wish one day, Gavin, it would take 30 minutes for us to read our Patreon list.
Yep, and obviously we have different levels on our Patreon, and we get different levels of support. But right now, we're just thankful for every single one of you. So no matter what level of Patreon support right now, we're going to read you out every week, and we definitely appreciate it. And it's good to catch up with you guys. Hopefully we can catch up in person in some of these conferences, and we can hang out in the virtual Into the Box coming up soon. So hope everything goes well with that planning, Luis, for that. So if you want to find out more, you can go to ortussolutions.com/about-us/sponsors, and you can see all of our sponsors there, including some other companies and some special sponsors as well. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for making this possible. Again, this is our 50th episode, so in podcast years, that means we're like 85. We're survived a long time, and we're really appreciative of everybody here supporting us and watching us. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.
All right. Bye, Gavin. Take care, my friend.
Have a good one. Thanks. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.